Hello everyone, as usual it's me Pavlo, and today for review I've got a great desktop DAC and amplifier combo made by TempoTec and its name March V. I did a review of previous generation of this device March 3 some time ago, but for the March 5 TempoTec made a huge step forward in almost any aspect. Typically for companies, they focused on maximum performance and maximum value for the price, and it's built with two AK4493 SEQ DAC chips. It features FPGA for jitter removal, and also it offers pure Class A amplifier that delivers 450 milliwatts for single-ended output and up to 1750 milliwatts per channel for the balanced output. And also it supports op-amps rolling, and you basically can get three versions. The most basic one comes without Bluetooth for $180. Bluetooth version that supports LDAC comes for $200. And for $270, if I remember correctly, you can get limited version with more fancy design and with Muses 02 as op-amps and slightly higher output power. So really capable device, and let's have a closer look. So box is simple but accurate, and what else do we need here? There was a seal to ensure that no one didn't tamper with your device. And here inside we have a lot of foam, actually really thick padding from all sides to protect the device during the shipping from all possible issues. And the box with accessories, and in the accessories you'll get 6.3mm adapter, small Bluetooth antenna, USB Type-C to USB Type-A cable, then power cord. Actually I've got, it's probably Chinese one, but they have a choice on their website, so if you're going to buy, you'll get the proper one. And then remote control, which is also pretty nice thing to have, meaning that you can use it as a desktop device for your headphones or as a part of your hi-fi setup with speakers, where remote control will be really handy. So here is March 5. It's bigger than March 3, but at the same time it's still a pretty compact device, like one my palm in all dimensions. And it's really well built. It's not super heavy, but at the same time it has a pleasant weight, and it's really solidly built, so nothing is shaking, nothing is rattling. Overall, you know, like that sense of well-built device is present here. It's made of metal, it's black one, and if you want a more fancy version, TempoTec offers limited edition. It's more expensive, but offers fancier design with wooden insert and more colorful implementation. What I really like actually is that they decided to add a good fits. It's not typical self-gluing fits. Here we have metal ones with rubber, so they provide really solid grip with the desktop. And overall, thanks to the size, March 5 will look great both on your desktop if you're going to use it as DAC and headphones amplifier, or in your audio rack. Actually, my audio rack is built of devices with similar size, and I really like compact devices that can be stacked together more or less in a unified way. So, what we have on the front? You can see that there are two plastic inserts here, left side with regular headphone input and the balanced one. You have to be cautious and careful if you don't want to scratch this plastic around the connector, so just aim precisely. On the right you have 3 buttons and the small screen to indicate current mode, volume and stuff like that. In the center there is a volume wheel with good encoder, nice well-defined clicks, and the long presses will work as a mute function. On the rear side you get power input, on-off toggle and fuse, and I really like that it has built-in power supply unit. For me it's a great plus. Maybe it's a bit subjective, but I don't like bulky external PSU for devices. Then input, Bluetooth antenna goes here, so let me just add it right here. So looks pretty nice. USB, optical and coaxial, and you'll get a full set of outputs, both single-ended RCA and XLRs for the balanced line out. So you can see it's absolutely universal as DAC. You can connect it to virtually any possible source and destination. So we turn it on and it boots up. Screen is not super bright, but it remains pretty visible. And mode allows you to select different inputs like Bluetooth, optical, coaxial, and then back to USB. I'm not sure will it be audible in the video, but when you're selecting inputs, it always uses relay. You can hear clicks of protective relay. So when you're changing inputs, your headphones and will be disconnected, and it will help protecting them. Middle button goes for gain, and actually I prefer to keep it turned on because usually it gives better results, even on the if you have to turn volume lower. And output allows you to select between balanced line, phone, balanced phone, and regular line out. So in general, pretty convenient controls, and you can even use it as a commutator between different inputs and outputs. And I like such devices because usually they gives you a bit of additional usefulness in this aspect. Good news for those who like to experiment with sound, you can swap op-amps here, and actually op-amps rolling is a great opportunity to change and improve sound of the devices you own. But actually even with stock LMEs used here, it offers a really great sound signature because AK4493 are great chips, and TempoTec added here nice clock, power filtering, and a pretty decent amplifier, getting as a result a really nice, clean, dynamic, and pretty musical output. So it's a really well balanced signature that is at the same time pretty technical, but not dry or not analytical, which is probably, you know, in my subjective opinion, the best way of tuning. Because if you want, for example, more clarity, you can get some op-amps that are more focused on the small nuances and details. I don't know, if you have a high budget, for example, you can go for Peterson op-amps. Or if you want to get like warmer sound, you can get some warmer sounding headphones and so on. But by default, it's a really appealing type of sound that will suit any genre, styles, and everything will depend on load. So, bass goes deep, it shows nice texturing, no attempts to make anything like more musical or more analytical or to add any type of coloration. Nice amount of small nuances, of course not the maximum one, but pretty enough to make like acoustic instrument sounds rich and realistic. It's a bit lacking texture in terms of texturing if we compare it with something more expensive. but for this price range it's also really good in this aspect. And it's not trying to add some weight or to make low frequencies more punchy than it should be. So like what you have on the in, you're getting on the out with a nice amount of everything. And let's go for examples. First one is Chantal Chamberland. I put a spell on you, that slow and rich introduction with deep bass and with a piano work at the beginning. Sounds really good with this deck, even with LDAC codec, but of course I used USB connection for test. It's just I'm using Bluetooth just for demonstration here. But actually, even with Bluetooth, it's pretty good in terms of sound quality. So nice, well-textured bass with good contrast and good control with the mids and high frequencies. And Suzy by Caravan Palace, punchy, impactful bass line, typical for the electro swing. When it's necessary, it can drive a good amount of weight and engagement. Mids are nice, natural, with really well-rendered vocals, especially male ones. Once again, if we'll go into nitpicking, probably I'm missing a bit of piercing and attacks for the female vocals and violins and distorted guitars, but it's also when we compare it with something more expensive. Besides that, really good amount of small nuances, but without focus on the micro contrast. Nice stage, not huge, but really well built. You'll get that sense of three-dimensional positioning, of that holographic placement of sound sources on the imaginary stage, so that all will be present here. It's not super critical in terms of records quality, but it's definitely will benefit from a better recorded material. So with this deck, you can already go into that audiophilic journey of comparing different releases and vinyl rips and stuff like that. If you want, of course. And first example, it's Europe, the final countdown, that introduction with that sound of that should remind some kind of engine, then synthesizer riff and vocal, and that all sounds really nice, typical for the glam rock of that period. And a more aggressive, more metal thing, Tornado of Souls by Megadeth, of course one of the greatest guitar solos in the metal genre, and really great performance by this device. Maybe a bit more aggression would be nice, but still really good representation, balancing between technicality and at the same time not becoming too dry and monitoring. So really good dynamics. And high frequencies also pretty decent. Of course, they're lacking layering compared to more expensive DX amps, but at the same time, both basic and extended overtone sounds really good. There is no attempts to add additional energy or to sound like more airy or to high treble, so they are pretty natural and pretty honest in terms of quantity and representation. Attacks and decays on the treble are really proper, so even pretty treble-rich things sounds well. And of course, if you don't like treble, you need to keep in mind that this thing doesn't try to hide anything. So, first example, it's Louis Armstrong and Oscar Peterson. What's new? Great vocal, and actually I selected this track here because of accompanying instrument that goes pretty high into the treble area and sometimes even sounding a bit piercing, and actually March V delivers it the way it should be, with a slight hint of that piercing, which from one hand a bit like scratching your ears, but at the same time giving you that sense of realism and authenticity. And Porcupine tree, drawing the line, like great recorded thing with a lot of instruments going into the treble area, and it's represented really well with all necessary stuff. Pretty universal device in terms of pairings. From one hand, low background noise with sensitive IEMs, but with super sensitive IEMs, I'd probably recommend to use something like i5 IE match to achieve even blacker background. And actually, surprisingly, a lot of power in Class A amplification to drive even pretty power-hungry headphones. Speaking about the compressions, the only thing that came to my mind it's FIO's lineup of DAC amps, K7, but FIO probably needs to update K7, releasing something more actual, because here for similar price we getting like better amplification, better inputs outputs, and overall better sound with more holographic stage, with more mature treble. Actually, K7 is also really nice, but here you're getting better sound and you're getting like balanced output, line out and other useful features. So to summarize everything, I probably haven't heard some modern solutions by SMSL or some other companies, but for $200, March V delivers great value in my opinion. It's mature sound, lots of inputs, outputs, and a possibility for op amps rolling. So great value for those who want some desktop solution or for headphones, or even for some DAC for their speaker setup. Highly recommended. I usually avoid saying such things, but in my opinion, value here is really great. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and have a great day.